Hey, what's up YouTube? This is FZM Studio. So in today's video we're doing a speed test between the OnePlus 5 and the Huawei P10 Plus. So like my previous two speed test videos, we'll be comparing the following: a boot up test, which phone launches the apps quicker, an app refresh RAM test, a fingerprint speed test, and a power off test. So before I get onto the main video, let's kick things off with a few specs. So the OnePlus 5 has an Optic AMOLED 5.5-inch capacitive touchscreen with a full HD display 1080 by 1920. So it's got the Snapdragon 835 chipset with an octa-core CPU, 128GB of internal storage with 8GB of RAM. It's running the latest version of Android 7.1.1 with the Oxygen OS overlay, which can be updated to the latest patch of 4.5.8. So moving on to the P10 Plus, it's got an IPS LCD 5.5-inch capacitive touchscreen with a Quad HD display 1440 by 2560. It's running with the Kirin 960 chipset with an octa-core CPU, 128GB of internal storage with 6GB of RAM. It's running Android 7.0 with its latest overlay of EMUI 5.1, which has been updated recently. So now that we know what we're dealing with, let's get on to the first test, which is the boot up. So as we can see in this first clip, both the power up buttons are located on the right hand side of the device. So the first thing to point out on the boot up test is that the OnePlus 5 logo does come on slightly quicker than the P10 Plus. Now we can see both the OnePlus 5 and the P10 Plus performing their startup animations. So for the most part, the startup animation is quite an overlooked design element, but we can clearly see on both phones that the animation startups are really cool. So as we can see with the OnePlus 5, it has loaded up to the pin password protection screen quicker than the P10 Plus. Even so with the second between them. So now it's time to see which phone loads up to the main screen first. So on the OnePlus 5 you enter the key code followed by the tick button, then on the P10 Plus you enter the key code only and it boots up to the main screen automatically. So as you guys can see, the P10 Plus just boots up a little bit quicker than the OnePlus 5. So technically speaking, both phones score points on that particular test. Now let's move on to the apps. So I'll be opening up a range of different apps to compare the speeds between the OnePlus 5 and the P10 Plus. Let's go. So kicking things off with the first app, the phone dialer, neck and neck on that one. Back to the home screen. The second app that I'll be launching is the settings. So as we can see with the settings, both are showing great speeds, loading up identically. Moving on to the third app for the speed test is YouTube. So as we can see with YouTube, the P10 Plus is ahead. The fourth app in the test is the Play Store. So as we can see, the Play Store does come up quicker for the OnePlus 5. Moving on. The next app is InShot. Again, OnePlus 5 is ahead. Next up is Viva Video. Identical boot ups on both the devices on that particular app. The next app is Hungry House. Hungry House does load up a little bit quicker, once again on the OnePlus 5. Back to the home screen. Next app is Shazam. Once again, P10 Plus is lagging behind, with that OnePlus 5 showing great levels of 8GB of RAM. Next up is Snapchat. Snapchat, once again on the OnePlus 5, is showing slightly more quicker boot up times. Camera, neck and neck, but I'd say the OnePlus 5 was slightly quicker. And again, with Chrome, the OnePlus 5 is ahead. Next up, we've got a really cool game, very good on RAM management. So we've got 8-Ball Pool. Once again, on the P10 Plus, it is behind. OnePlus 5 is winning the test. Next up, we've got Calculator and Screen Recorder. Very quick apps, both loaded up exactly the same. Calendar, again neck and neck. Next up, we've got Speed Test. So as we can see with the Speed Test, the OnePlus 5 is ahead. Next app in the speed test is Asphalt. So with this high-end graphics and optimization, it makes it an ideal speed test app. So as we can see on the OnePlus 5, it does load up to the main home screen quicker than the P10 Plus. So again, one up for the OnePlus. Next app is Android Pay. So with Android Pay, it loads up quicker for the OnePlus 5. Back to the home screen, into the Google folder, and Google Play Music is the next app. So as we can see, the P10 Plus was quicker for that one. Next up, Google Maps. Identical launches, but the OnePlus 5 does load up the main images quicker than the P10 Plus. Back to the home screen. So basically guys, what I'm doing here is just confirming how many apps I've launched in total. So on both the devices, we've launched a total of 20 apps. So the reason I'm doing this is because I want to show you something on the Huawei phones. So in my earlier speed test video, which was the Mate 9 Pro against the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, if you launch more than 20 apps on the Huawei phone, it starts to remove the early ones that you launched initially. So at this current time, we've launched a total number of 20 apps, but as I continue the speed test and try a different number of apps, you'll see what will happen to the first few that we launched. Let's continue and I'll show you. App number 21, back to the Google folder, Google Duo. Again on the OnePlus 5, it's ahead. So watch what happens on the P10 Plus. Where's the phone dialer? Where's the first app that we launched? It's no longer available. After we reach 20 apps, the first app will be removed if you continue further. On the OnePlus 5, it's got all of them. Regardless, let's continue on the speed test. App number 22, Google Play Movies. Again, the OnePlus 5 is flexing its muscles, beating the P10 Plus. Even on Instagram, it loads up to the homepage quicker. Next app I'll be testing is Boomerang. P10 Plus is lagging behind only by a second or so, but it's still behind. Next app that I'll be testing in the speed test is Mixer. So with Mixer, it's a bit of an intensive app, so it's taking a bit of time on both the phones, but as we can see, the OnePlus 5 does load up quicker than the P10 Plus. So now that we've opened up a total number of 25 apps on both the devices, you'll notice as we scroll back up to the top on the P10 Plus, the first 5 apps that we launched are not accessible. They are the phone dialer, settings, YouTube, Play Store and InShot. That's why we can see on the P10 Plus, Viva Video is still at the top of the list, as that was app number 6 that we launched. So to keep things fair on the speed test, I decided to remove those apps that weren't accessible on the P10 Plus on the OnePlus 5. Then I decided to remove some of the less RAM consuming apps such as calendar, calculator, sound recorder, and you'll see why in just a second. So now that we look back at the P10 Plus after removing some of them apps, you'll notice the original apps that we launched are now accessible, which means they are still held on the RAM management. This is a strange concept by Huawei. Why have 6GB of RAM and not have access to more than 20 apps? What do you guys think about this? So now I decided to do a RAM refresh test. This allows me to test how well the RAM manages all of the apps that we initially launched to see if there's any refresh or any lag between them. So the first app on the RAM refresh test is Instagram. So as we can see with Instagram, the OnePlus 5 does relaunch it quicker than the P10 Plus, but there was no refresh on either phone. Similarly with Mixer, no refresh, but the OnePlus 5 is popping up the apps a bit quicker, such as we can see on Play Movies. Next up is Google Duo, again very similar on that one. Again for OnePlus 5 it was quicker for the Google Maps. Play Music, again the P10 Plus is slightly behind. There was a refresh for Android Pay on the P10 Plus. Next up is Asphalt 8. I would say neck and neck on that one, no refresh. Shazam, a refresh for the OnePlus 5, so that's the first time, so the P10 Plus won that one. Very similar stuff for Hungry House. And next up we've got Snapchat. Slightly quicker for the OnePlus 5 in terms of relaunching. Again, similarly same thing on speed test. 8-Ball Pool. No refresh on both the phones, so I would say that's neck and neck, but the OnePlus 5 was slightly quicker. Again with Google Chrome, similar stuff. And camera. There was a refresh on the OnePlus 5 for the camera, but I would say in terms of launching speeds, they were very similar. So the final app is YouTube, and as we can see, the P10 Plus does reload quicker than the OnePlus 5. So, both the Huawei P10 Plus and OnePlus 5 use the capacitive home button for the fingerprint sensor, and as we can see with my mastery timing skills, they're identical, absolutely neck and neck. These are single-handedly the fastest sensors on a flagship device today, absolutely amazing on both phones. So, the final test between both of these near identical looking phones is a power off test, so we're gonna see which one powers off first. So as I press the power off button, we can see that the OnePlus 5 just beats the P10 Plus. So in summary guys, we can recall it was a point each way for the power on test. In terms of launching the apps, the OnePlus 5 clearly took the win by showing ultra fast load up times. It also loads up more than 20 apps, which is a massive plus. For the RAM management, there was actually 2 refreshes for the OnePlus, but it did relaunch the apps quicker, so a point each way here as both phones showed no signs of slowing down. They both have the fastest fingerprint sensors on the Android market, and finally the OnePlus 5 powers off a second quicker, so the winner is the OnePlus 5. Even without using all of its 8GB of RAM, it still shows incredible, insane levels of speed by coming out ahead against the P10 Plus, so props to OnePlus. So what did you guys make of the speed test? Did you think the OnePlus 5 would make it look so easy? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Which new flagship devices do you guys want to see go head to head against the OnePlus 5 or P10 Plus? Again, leave your suggestions, I'd love to go through them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Smash that thumbs up button for more content, hit that subscribe button if you're new to my channel, and if you want to be part of the notorious notification squad, hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.